Yeah, very good evening. Sorry, it's already late. I'll just take 10 minutes of yours and I'll try to sum up what we can offer, what are the newest solutions for a transplant diagnostic lab in an NGS. So my name is Zahid, I'm Director of Application at Shiva Scientific. We are a 3-decade-old entity and we have been in the genomics market for more than 80 years now. And our core expertise lies in transplant diagnostics, but we also serve other verticals like reproductive genetics and oncology. So NGS, I think Dr. Bhatia, Dr. Arun, and so many other speakers have already covered. It's a massively parallel sequencing. So let's start the revision for you. And there are various platforms. Categorized into two broad categories: short read sequencing and long read sequencing. Short read sequencing, there are players like Illumina, Iron Torrent, and also NGS. In long read sequencing, there are also PacBio and Oxford Nanopore. So let's come to a transplant diagnostic lab. What is happening in a transplant diagnostic lab? There is a pre-transplant workup and there is a post-transplant workup. In a pre-transplant, a lab is trying to find the best matched donor. A sort of screening and histocompatibility testing are happening. And in a post-transplant setup, we are just trying to monitor the patient so that we can detect early relapses or any rejection which might happen in the future. So can an NGS do a job for a transplant diagnostic lab? I know most of the labs are using HLA typing, but can we do anything beyond that? Let's see. So let's look at the workflow first. Again, a sort of revision for you. So for any amplicon-based NGS workflow, there would be 5 steps. This is target generation. Target generation would be targeting gene of interest or loci of interest. Library preparation, adapting those genes or the amplicons so that it can be further clonally amplified and sequenced on the platform. And clonal amplification and sequencing would be slightly different depending on the platforms. If you're using Illumina, the clonal amplification and sequencing is slightly different, and Iron Torrent, it's slightly different. And eventually you end up with the data, a huge amount of data, where the bioinformatics like Dr. Tutu has to do a lot of analysis and create pipelines and so many other things. So let's look at the target generation. So for the transplant diagnostic lab, we offer high resolution HLA typing. Not only just the classical HLA typing A, B, C, D, or DQs, but also non-classical like HLA E, F, G, which is getting a footprint in the transplant diagnostic. Not only transplant, maybe also for a recurrent pregnancy losses. So these is the most conventional way of a transplant diagnostic lab. So what can we do beyond HLA? Next, MYC genes. MYC genes are broadly categorized into 2 sets, MYC A and MYC B. So what does MYC stands for? MSC class 1 related genes A and B. So MYC A and MYC B, they are actually like a ligand for NKG2D activation. And on the codon 129, there's a mechanism which actually can create a strong or a weak NKG2D response. So a transplant lab can actually do a high resolution MYC A, MYC B typing. So they will also get to know these dimorphism. And using this high resolution typing, they can find the best matched donor, maybe for solid organ as well as for hematopoietic stem cell transplant. For solid organ, there's also utility. If you're monitoring an antibody for MYC A or MYC B, you should have the typing of MYC A, MYC B for the donor. Then only you can say it's a donor-specific antibody. So NGS is offering 3 solution factors. First is the NKG2D activation, high resolution typing with a match or mismatch between a patient and donor, and also to decipher the status of a donor-specific antibody. Kill genes. So our killer immunoglobulin-like receptors, they have 2 sorts, activatory and inhibitory conventionally. But if you do a high resolution sequencing of the full kill gene, you would find that some of the activatory genes, the alleles, some of the alleles in them are of an inhibitory nature. Similarly, in the inhibitory genes, you will see some of the alleles are actually activatory nature. And you can actually decipher the kill ligand mismatch and also use it for some of the research. Mainly, K would be interested here to look at the hematopoietic stem cell transplant. As of now, solid organ transplant, we are not using much of a high resolution, just looking at the genotypes. But in NGS lab, you can get the allelic resolution. What else? Now, let's look at the post-transplant, chimerism, and engraftment monitoring. So what we can do in NGS, we can target insertions and deletions across the human genome. An insertion deletion, like people usually do an STR-based chimerism monitoring, and in NGS, you can get 100 times more sensitive way of doing chimerism monitoring. So imagine if there is a change in the recipient fractions from 0.1 to 0.5, you can easily detect it. with the help of an NGS. Whereas in an STR, until unless there is a 2 to 5% of a change, you might not be able to detect it. So how do we do that? We are amplifying an insertion or a deletion, so there can be short amplicon and long amplicon. And on bioinformatics, you can easily segregate whether there is a long and short, and based on that, you can decide whether it's coming from the donor or from the recipient and quantify them in a different fractions. What if I say that the cell-free DNA, which was covered by Dr. Mohammad just in the last talk, can also be used for deciphering the status of the acute cellular rejection? So we have donor-derived cell-free DNA after the transplant, especially after solid organ transplant, which can be used as a biomarker to detect an earlier indication of a cell-mediated rejection instead of doing biopsies. So here the limit of quantification is up to 0.05. Imagine if there's a change of a 0.05%, you can still intervene and actually do some immunosuppression, and you can see those, which has been seen in this graph. After these several time points of immunosuppressions, these donor cell-free DNA have depleted and the creatinine levels are more or less stabilized. So these are the major applications on an NGS tool, which can be used in a transplant diagnostic lab, but only for target generation. So how do we customize them for laboratory preparation? So laboratory preparation, majorly again 3 or 4 steps, depending on how long is it amplicon. For the HLA, the NK genes, the amplicon size starts from 3 kb to about 20-25 kb. And like we mentioned in the morning, the lumen, iron, NGS, these are short read sequences, so they can do that. Whereas the they can do a single molecule sequencing as well. So depending on what you're using in the lab, let's say if you're eliminating, you need to fragment them. But if you're using a or ONT, you don't need to fragment them. So fragmentation that you can be used here is enzymatic. You can also use a covirus or maybe physical sharing. And you also create some sticky ends. And second step is adapter ligation. So this adapter ligation, we move directly. We don't do any fragmentation. For adapter ligation, they will have a T overhang and they will ligate easily to these sticky ends. Then we barcode all the samples. We give them unique synthetic sequences, so they're so unique. And then eventually, we can pool all the different sorts of samples or library together. Like we discussed, magnetic Ampere XP based magnetic cleanup, also known as SPRI, solid phase reversible immobilization. We can clean up and also do a sort of a size selection. Size selection also because we're doing enzymatic fragmentation. So my fragmentation could be a 100 base pair, as well as can be a 500 or 1 kb. So depending on which flow cell you're using, you can target ideally between 300 to 700 base pair of the insert using those beads and can finally prepare your library. So imagine in a transplant diagnostic lab, there can be utility of HLA typing. You created one library of HLA, other library of MIG-B, genes, maybe for chimerism, also for cell-free DNA. All of them are interpoolable. Interpoolable, they are all actually in the same molarity. The insert size are similar and they can be easily pooled. Once you pool them, you go for your triple amplification and sequencing, which is again platform dependent, short read or long read, depending on which platform you're using. Fragmentation and fragmentation based libraries, you can do that. Then eventually the data analysis. What if I tell you, instead of doing all those bioinformatics that Dr. has to go through, I just give you one solution, upload the FASTQ and press the play button, and your clinical grade report is ready. And second USP, that I can finish all of this within 24 hours. So imagine if you need a faster turnaround time, from morning at 10, eventually by 6, you can move into the sequence, and next morning at 10, you have the data ready, which can be analyzed and reported. So what just to summarize, is possible in transplant diagnostic for pre-transplant. We can do HLA typing, high resolution HLA typing, NGS, MIG-B typing, gene allelic typing. For post-transplant, for hematopoietic stem cell transplant, we can do chimerism and grafting monitoring, and for solid organ, we can do donor-derived cell-free DNA monitoring. Summary: NGS-based assays are important. For pre-transplant, HLA is the mostly used, but now MIG-B has been widely adopted. K genes are being used for HSCT. For post-transplant, this cell-free DNA we're launching this April, which would be a game changer. And all of these assays can be done in less than 24 hours. So these are our partners, Gendex, Indivisor, which offer all of these solutions depending on the flexibility of the system that you have. We also offer some of the other cancer and the hereditary disorder assays. So in the morning, I was talking to Dr. Swendling about thalassemia. We have a very unique assay, which is a one-tube assay where you can detect not just the beta thalassemia, but the alpha thalassemia, HBV, HBA genes, also the other gene clusters, including SNV, NVs, and large CNV. So just one tube, 2 hours of amplification, half an hour of indexing, and load into your sequencer. So thanks. One of the things is we support the full NGS workflow. Thank you.